It Happened on the Job, the podcast for relatable conversations with contractors. Sponsored by Goodman Insurance.
Welcome to It Happened on the Job. We are your podcast for relevant and relatable conversations with contractors. My name's Mike. That's Brian.
Hello, everybody. And today we have Gary Nalder with Elite Plumbing, the sole proprietor and owner. How you doing, Gary?
Yeah, good, thanks. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
So give us a little bit of background on you, how you get started in the business, and maybe where you came from and that whole journey there.
Okay, I'm originally from New Zealand.
Yeah.
I left high school and went straight into the plumbing trade. Apprenticeship of 8,000 hours. Boss was a real asshole, so the sooner I got out of there, the better I was.
This is in New Zealand, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I counted down the hour that I'd finished my apprenticeship, and I walked into my boss. I go, I'm done. He didn't know what I was talking about, and I left. Send me my papers. Left the country, went to a little island.
So you were really done, not only with him, but with New Zealand.
Yeah.
All right.
Left the country, went to a little island off the coast of Australia called Norfolk Island. Stayed there for a couple of years, picked up a few different trades, more or less still in the plumbing trade. Went back to New Zealand and worked at a pulp and paper mill as a roofer, which is part of the plumbing trade in New Zealand. Yeah. And applied to work at a place called Marsden Point, the highest paid job in the country for my trade. I was in the second highest paid where I was at the mill. They rejected me, so I worked a couple of years, and then I decided I wanted to come to America. I was sitting in the dentist chair, and they had this big special on, California had these girls on the beach. So I went down and I booked my ticket right away. Booked my ticket right away. I'm going to America. Stop in Hawaii first for a week. But
that's not a bad stop either.
And then 2 days before I left, I got an okay for this job at Marsden Point, the highest paid job in the country. I'm going to America. So I came into Honolulu, spent a week there, and went through money like crazy. I left there, came back into California.
Did you stop in Hawaii and double, maybe think maybe I should be here instead of California at all?
No, I liked it. It was just
especially
expensive. It was expensive.
Honolulu too. Yeah, you don't get much more expensive in Hawaii than Honolulu.
It's confined. Yeah. Go ahead.
I blew through like $1,000 in 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy.
It's going to work.
So I better save a little bit of money for California. So I got here and I partied and played for like a week, and then I'm out of money. I gotta get a job. So I found a job, no problem. Guy was an alcoholic. We worked 2 hours a day and then got drunk for the rest of the day. This went on for like 3 months. So finally I got, this is not working for me. So I got another job with another company and worked there for about a year. Then decided to go back to New Zealand for a vacation and renew my visa on the way back in. Well, on the way back in, they wouldn't renew my visa. I'd already renewed it once, and you could do it up to 3 times. But they wanted to know where I was living, what I was doing, where I was working. I go, I'm not working. My girlfriend's supporting me. I'm living with my girlfriend. They didn't like that idea too much. So they gave me an option. Yeah, you go back home, or you can go on to LA and go in front of a federal immigration judge. I go, no, I don't want to do that. So I went back to New Zealand. She flew out there, and we got married. Applied for citizenship, applied for a green card here, and they lost that application. And another 6 months.
Sounds about right for our government.
6 months went by, so I finally got my green card. I came back to this country, started working for the same contractor that I had previously worked for, and got into a dispute with him, and left and went and worked for another guy down in this area here, and worked for him for another year, and decided that the money was there, but it wasn't enough. The money was being self-employed.
Yeah.
So I went self-employed. Nothing. All I had was a van, my hand tools. No money for advertising, no capital, no nothing. And I picked up a little job, then another little job. I started advertising, and you guys probably don't remember the Penny Saver.
Oh, I remember the Penny Saver.
Okay, then I started getting work from the Penny Saver, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I was just kind of plateaued out, just making a living. And so I changed the strategy and started advertising in more expensive kind of areas, upper class areas, and started getting work. And I went from there. 1992, I had about 8 vehicles running.
Oh, wow.
And I spent my entire time getting work for the guys and solving problems, Didn't make a penny in 2 years, myself personally. So I came in one morning and there's a hose sticking out of the van, out of the gas tank. Someone's siphoning gas out of the gas tanks.
Nice.
So I came in and I go,
This is one of your employees?
one of my employees is doing this. It's somebody with a key to the building. And the guys are coming in, so I walk outside going, what am I going to do? And I look in the back of the truck of one of the guys, and it's the same colored hose that's sticking out of the gas tank. So I went in there, I go, why are you siphoning my gas? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I go, you're fired. You're all fired. The secretary, you're fired too. Look at everybody that day. I go,
Cleaning house.
Cleaned house, and I just started working by myself with one other guy, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I've been that way ever since, and I've made more money and less problems. The job gets done right. There's no callbacks. And I'm happy. I pick my hours I want to work, pretty much.
Yeah.
What's your kind of geographical area that you're working in?
Very, radius is very small. Fullerton, Anaheim. The furthest I'll go is probably Irvine.
Okay.
I do some work up at UCI there, and nothing into LA. That's about it, kind of like that kind of geographical area.
Right, yeah. Is it all residential work, or is it?
No. I'm trying to get out of residential. In fact, I am out of it.
But that's so much fun, though. It's just going in.
It's a pain.
Dealing with homeowners.
It's a pain, and
Yeah.
homeowners are the worst.
Yeah.
I still take care of the clients that I got started out with,
Right,
that still
right.
had plumbing problems. But mostly now it's industrial and commercial plumbing.
Are you doing like TI work or like repair service stuff?
It's more bigger stuff. I have a pipeline license as well. So one of the jobs I just finished was in Costa Mesa in the street. We ran some water lines.
Oh, so you're doing big stuff. Sewer.
Up to 10-inch I can do.
Okay.
After that, it gets expensive.
I mean, bigger than the 1-inch stuff that you got inside the houses and inside the buildings.
And I
all that
prefer
kind of stuff,
the bigger pipes and bigger jobs over the fix the faucet kind of thing.
There's a little more meat on the bones there on those jobs.
There's more meat, there's more money, and there's more thinking. You've got to
Right.
plan a lot
creative.
more.
Right. Yeah.
Because I get bored sometimes with plumbing.
Yeah.
If it's a challenge, I'm into it. I'm ready there. But
Yeah.
if there's no challenge, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah, if you're sitting underneath somebody's sink, exactly.
I could do stuff with my eyes closed. I bet my employees once, it was funny, it was down in this area, and I had to get a generator on the roof because I had a welder welding some gas lines, and his leads weren't long enough to reach 400 feet. So I left 4 guys in charge to get this generator on the roof. It was a heavy generator, and they had a scissor lift, and they had wood and planks and everything else. I came back towards the end of the day, and they hadn't got it on the roof. So I started screaming, well, what's wrong with you people?
Did they work for Caltrans before?
No, they worked for
you?
me. They worked for me. I don't know what. They were just still scratching their head, And I go, why can't you get this on the roof? Oh, it's impossible. Can't do it. I'll bet you a week's pay for all 4 of you. I can get that on the roof in less than 2 hours. They all shook my hand, took the bet. I had it on the roof in less than 1 hour. They didn't get paid that week.
You made some coin right there.
I showed them that nothing's impossible. Everything can be done. Everything's possible. And where was I? What track were we going down here? Geographical area.
We were talking about the big commercial industrial projects.
Yeah. Some of the accounts that I have now are pharmaceutical companies and aerospace industry companies, government work.
How did you get involved in those particular industries?
Yeah, I can't imagine they're looking into the penny saver to find you, right?
Oh, this is way beyond. I stopped advertising probably 25 years ago.
wow.
I don't advertise anymore. I don't
Just
all
want
word
any
of
more
mouth.
work. I don't want any more work.
Right.
Well, especially if you're not trying to hire a bunch of employees and take on that headache again, right?
No, those accounts, they just happened along. I don't know how.
Just relationships, it sounds like. People
Yeah, and
knew.
like you'll have communications with the maintenance operator, and he'll move to another plant, and he'll take you with him, and then he'll move to another plant, and he'll take you with you, and this guy moves. So you stay with the same accounts.
Right.
People tend to stay with the same companies.
Right.
And the thing is, with industrial and commercial plumbing, there's more money. They don't nitpick over something. It's like, okay, you got to put in a new backflow over here. Well, I've got to dig this up. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It's going to be $3,000. Okay, do it.
Yeah.
If it's a homeowner, it's like, well, why is it so much? $3,000 doesn't go anywhere these days, $1,000 doesn't go anywhere these days. But they don't have the concept of money and what it's worth anymore. I mean, the commercial industry, they just want it done.
I was going to say, it's more about expediency or expediency and your reputation, right?
Yeah, they want it done and they want it done right. They don't want to argue over anything. They don't want any hassles. They just want it done right.
Yeah. And I feel like you can find homeowners like that, but like you said, more often
Very
than
few.
not, they're wanting.
Well, especially out here, I feel like in Orange County, people are they're pinching their pennies because they're trying to make payment on terms of their house. I mean, it's expensive to live out here.
Yeah, it's funny.
So-
You pull into a driveway or pull up to their house, and they're driving a nice car, BMW or whatever, and they're going to pinch pennies over a toilet valve or something. It's like a $10 item. Well, you can charge that much. I can buy it at Home Depot for $5. Well, then go and buy it for $5 then. I had a guy once, he said, well, I can buy that pressure regulator at Home Depot for half that price. Okay, go buy it. I'll sit here and wait for you. I'm going to charge you for the time I wait. He said, okay. So it took him like 30, 45 minutes. It was cheap for him to buy it from me than sit there and wait 45 minutes for him to go get it. So I charged him.
Well, that's so. This kind of along the same lines. I have a hot tub, above ground hot tub, and the motor went out, and I knew the motor went out, and I called the guy, and honestly, I didn't want to try and take it apart and figure out where the motor is and all that stuff, right? So I call him out, and I knew the motor was like about $225 to replace, right? So he takes it all apart, checks it all out, and he goes, yeah, it's the motor. And he hands me a piece of paper, and he says, here's what it's going to cost. And there was two numbers, like $350 and then $225, something like that. So it's almost $600, right, to have everything replaced. And so I looked at him, I talked to my wife, told him what's going on, and I said, so just kind of help me out here. What are the two different numbers here? And he goes, well, this is the motor and this is my labor. I said, oh, okay. And again, I mean, I knew the motor was $225, but he had written $350. I said, well, can you kind of help me explain it? I think I've seen it online at $225, and he got all fired up and started yelling at me and this and that. Well, go replace it yourself and buy it yourself. I said, no, I'm just trying to understand. He goes, well, I'm going to warranty for a year and this and that. And I said, great. Like that's all I needed was the information, right? Because you tell me you're going to warranty. I definitely don't want to put it in. I'll pay you the $200 to put it in, and if you're going to warranty it for a year, I'm happy to pay a little bit more than I would pay online, but just explain it a little bit and we're good.
Yeah.
I was like, do it, done.
He needs to go work in commercial and industrial.
People don't understand that you've got to go get it.
Yeah.
You've got to go put it in. You've got
Well, that's
to
what I told him.
warranty
I was like, I definitely don't want to do any of that, so just maybe explain the numbers a little bit and I'm good. And he did. He finally did. He calmed down a little bit, and I said, do it. You're good.
Yeah.
And he had it in 30 minutes. I definitely don't want to be doing that. But yeah, it's I understand that.
I've had
situation.
customers that just downright said, I'm not going to pay you. Why? Is there something wrong with the product? Did I do something wrong? No, I'm just not going to pay you.
Okay.
Is there a reason?
Let
No,
me
there's
take
no
my
reason.
valve back.
Are you not allowed to? Not allowed to do that. So I see them in small claims court. I think I've been to small claims about 6 or 7 times, one every
Really?
time. I put a water heater in for a guy in Costa Mesa, a big 100-gallon water heater. And I had to come back and wire it permanently. I had an extension cord on there because I didn't have a pigtail.
Right.
So I called him. I said, hey, I'm done. I just got to come back tomorrow morning and put a pigtail on the electrical. He goes, well, okay, I'll pay you tomorrow. I go, okay, I'll be here at 8 o'clock. You bring here with a check. So I show up. He's not there. So I put the pigtail on. I go, I'm finished. I need a check. Well, I'll come by tomorrow and I'll check that pigtail.
Oh, no.
No, you'll come by now and pay me a check. No. I said, if you don't come by now, I'm going to take the water heater out. He said, you can't do that. And I said, probably can't, but I'm going to. I can do it in less than 30 minutes, I bet you. The police showed up in about 5 minutes. Told me I couldn't touch it. Kicked me off the property. So I went down and filed a lien on his property. And he get the lien notice, and the next day it was served to him. And he's like, come and get your check. I go, no, bring the check to me. I'm not coming to get you. Bring the check to me. Oh, and there's a little bit of interest on that, too.
Yeah.
You paid it.
Yeah, it cost me to file that lien.
You paid it.
So how many of these scars did you take on the residential side before you actually made that move to the commercial industrial? Was it...
It's only been recently, probably in the last year.
Okay.
So I've been in business 34 years.
Yeah.
So in the last year.
But I got to imagine in those 34 years, it wasn't just purely residential, right?
No.
So because you would have made those incremental steps to get to the place where you are today.
Majority was residential. The minority was the commercial. But as time went on, commercial started overtaking, and then I got less interested in residential at all. I'd have people call me, oh, such and such gave me your name. I'd check on that person. If they were a good customer, then I'd go help them. But if I didn't know who they were talking about, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy that week. I'm busy for the next month. I'm sorry. Didn't want
Yeah,
to.
you don't need the headaches. You still have the one guy working for you?
Yes, I have one. In fact, he's out. I have another guy working for me, but The main guy I have, he's out on sick leave right now. He hurt his shoulder, and he's waiting for an operation, and he can't get that until this virus thing is over.
Right.
God,
But so I have a friend helping me out. He's working full time for me. So yeah, it's just me and one other guy.
So the guy, I would imagine the guy that's out with his shoulder right now, he's been with you pretty long term.
He's been with me just over a year.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to learn the trade. He came to me with nothing, and I took.
That's
him
what I
on.
was going to get at. Is kind of how'd you find this guy, and how did you?
How did I find him? I think Craigslist. I find everything on Craigslist.
It's a magical site.
Yeah, it is. So he's one of many that answered the ads. I had guys showed up with tattoos up to their necks, to their heads. I mean, just you couldn't send them to somebody's home or to a business.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he showed up, and he's a pretty clean-cut guy, and so I hired him. And he wanted to learn the trade, and so
No experience or anything, huh?
no, none at all, none in plumbing. But he'd been in tiling work, so he'd watched plumbers and said that they were the most happiest guys on the job.
Well, especially relative to a tile guy on his knees all day.
He said, it was hard work.
Yeah.
So the problem that faces us here in this county, I don't know so much about LA County, but there's no formal education as far as training, apprenticeship programs, or schooling. When I went to school, I did 12 weeks a year for 4 years.
Wow.
At school, learning theory and hands-on. Besides going to work every day, every day besides the 12 weeks. Here, there's nothing. I was seriously considering opening up a school with a 6-month training period and a 1-year training period, and teaching them the theory behind plumbing.
Right.
And you see 99% of the guys out there in the trades don't know the theory behind anything. They just know how it works. They don't know how it gets there. They don't know. If I asked you...
Or why it's set up a certain way.
Yeah, if I asked a plumber, I go, what's the definition of a plumber? What does a plumber do? What is plumbing? They couldn't tell you. It's very simple. It's a safe supply of potable water and the removal of sanitary waste.
Easy.
Dates back to the Latin plumbum, lead worker. We, back in the old days, used to work with lead with our hands. And all the pipes were lead. Of course, nowadays we don't do that.
Right.
But it goes back to Roman times, early Roman times.
Wow.
Lead workers. But
so what stopped you from opening the school?
I'm still on the thought process right now.
Yeah.
I can do it. Being a private school, I wouldn't have to really come up with any kind of qualifications except for the ones that I have now.
You just have to get some of those. I'd imagine you probably have to get some of these larger plumbing contractors on board.
I think they would come on board in a heartbeat because
like basically giving credit to what you're teaching.
Yes, and I've got a lot of experience in that, and I also do work for I'm not supposed to say, but let's just say a state agency, doing inspections for them. And when there's a problem, they send me out to investigate and report on what's going on. Some of the atrocities I see out there are just incredible.
Yeah.
Guys just throwing stuff around,
I repipe for $83,000 on a 2-bedroom house, an old house, and they're back to back, $83,000. And they did the worst job I could ever imagine. Crawled under the house there, and there was just pipes laying on the ground, everything. Like, oh my God. And there's no pride left anymore in the craftsmanship. It's all just get it in and get it done quick, Yeah.
Well, I think that's the key. I think that craftsmanship and that that pride and that like, hey, I'm doing this with my hands and this is my work and somebody is going to rely on this. I think a lot of that is gone. It's kind of.
When I stand back, when I've done a job, I stand back and look at it. If the pipe is not straight, I'll go and change it, even though it's going to be covered up.
Yeah.
It's in my head. It's got to be right.
Somebody's going to tear it down eventually and go, "Who the hell put that crooked pipe in?"
Back in the day, when I had people working for me, I had this guy set him up running some copper lines overhead on a scissor lift, and I came back towards the end of the day, and it was a 1-day job. And he'd got like half of it done, maybe 2/3 of it done. I go, is there a problem? He goes, no problem. I go, how come you haven't finished? He goes, well, I was just saving the rest for tomorrow. I thought I'd stretch it out for another day. You're telling me this? Okay, I'll see you back at the shop. I wrote his check out. He was gone that day. Stupid.
It's something you think and you try and plan maybe as an employee, but you don't really say that out loud to the boss.
He said that. He goes, I'll just stretch it out for another day.
Noted. Well, I mean, it makes sense. You see this lack of craftsmanship, this lack of pride in the work, and really kind of a vacuum in terms of work ethic, it sounds like, and knowledge in terms of the industry. And I mean, you see that in other industries. It's a great way to, in terms of the school itself, it's a great way to start something and teach these guys. And it sounds like you've got the connections to send these guys off to work, and it sounds like some of these other business owners, some of these other plumbing companies,
they would
need
definitely
these guys.
They would pay to have their employees go there, because the theory behind some things is important. You've got to know why it does this, and why do I need to put a check valve there when there wasn't one there before. And, if you don't know these things, you're just going to go by hands-on experience, and that's not always right.
Right. Especially if the teacher is not very good. That's teaching you the hands-on experience.
Usually they're learning from another plumber who's graduated from being a helper to a plumber, and they're learning from him. And so as it goes down the road, there's shortcut after shortcut after shortcut till they get to the point where they're just throwing pipe together, and it's got humps and hollows in it, and it's going to work right for the first year, and then it's going to screw up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is capturing a lot of those guys and girls and whatever, those people out of high school even, you know what I mean, that maybe don't want to go down that 4-year degree path.
Well,
giving a little bit of validation to
a lot of people want to go on and get further education in college, university, whatever, but they find out that there's no work for them after they get a degree.
Yeah. And they've got $100,000.
I remember that. That happened to me.
Yeah, and they got a student loan for quite a bit. Yeah. But, if you go into the trade, there's so many avenues you can get into. Yeah. You don't have to be hands-on all the time. But if you get into a trade out of high school, and if you're interested, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need more and more hands-on people. Because robots, artificial intelligence, everything, digitized money is all going to come into play pretty soon.
Yeah.
The only people that are going to have work are people that can work with their hands, where robots can't do things.
Right.
And that's where the money's going to be.
Especially if it's not systematic. It's very creative in terms of...
Right. Artificial intelligence is going to figure out how to do it, but can they actually squeeze in there, around there, and do it? No.
Yeah.
You need a human for that.
Right.
My dad told me, he said, as long as there's human beings, they're going to need plumbers.
Yeah.
As long as there's human beings. And he's right.
Yeah, this is absolutely right. There are certain functions that need to take place.
And you see all the construction going on out there these days. Apartment buildings, townhomes, condos going up everywhere. Yeah. There's an empty block, they're building on it next week.
Yeah.
A crazy amount of homes going up. They're all going to need servicing in 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the area where I live... was built about 20 years ago, and in the last 5 to 10 years, because it went up so quick,
all the repipes and slab leaks.
Slab leaks and repipes everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I never understood why they ran the pipes under the slab. It's such a bad plumbing practice, because they're gonna leak.
Yeah, especially when they do, they're in trouble.
I tell my customers, like, after your third one, it's time to repipe your house.
Yeah.
Because they're just gonna keep leaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never did that back when I was learning plumbing. It was all overhead. Yeah. Nothing underground except for the drain.
Yeah.
Overhead, huh?
Yeah, everything's overhead. Every custom house I've ever done, I've done it overhead. I've never run it under the ground. Huh. And now we use PEX, and that's so much easier and quicker.
Yeah.
You can't put that under the ground, so you have to go overhead with that.
Yeah, we just had our house repiped probably 3 years ago, and they used all that.
Yeah. It's pretty reliable so far. Besides rats eating it, that's about the only problem that I've heard. Chewing holes in it, but I think they've put some chemical in there now to stop that.
Oh, really?
From
on the outside coating, yeah.
That's not good news, because I got rats in my house that I'm killing on a weekly basis.
Ooh,
so I haven't seen them anywhere close to the. They're actually a lot in the backyard in the garage. So hopefully not close to the walls. That'd be bad.
Yeah. You don't want one dying in the wall. That's
yeah.
Sure.
Nope. Definitely not.
What's that smell?
I have a phobia for rats, right? I remember in my apprenticeship, I'm under a house and I felt this thing run across my legs. Oh, I was out of there so quick. I went to my boss. I'm not going back under there again. He goes, get under and do that. I go, no. Fire me. I don't care. I'm not going under there again. I haven't seen a rat since.
Which makes sense. He goes overhead.
Yeah, right.
He stays up high.
I don't like those things.
So,
Creeps.
kind of, what are some of the things that you guys have to, or that you have to get over? Some objections or hurdles that you guys have to work through?
Finding qualified, educated employees.
Yeah. So would you? I mean, if you could find that person, would you bring on another one or two?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every owner would say the same thing. If you could find somebody that could do it the same way you did it, or even better,
Right.
you'd hire them all. Right. You would get as much work as
Well,
you
I
possibly
remember
could.
you saying, I mean, managing those employees was kind of a
Was a pain.
hassle.
Yeah.
So
showing
I mean,
showing
are
up
you-
on Monday for work or
Yeah.
quitting early on Friday.
Yeah.
They were all the same. They wanted time off too, but all they had to do was ask. Hey, I
Yeah.
need a personal day. Sure, no problem. We'll work around it. But no, they just call them sick.
So you're happy to kind of grow your business and grow your employees and do that. You just want to make sure that it's the right people.
It's finding,
If I knew that they were good at what they were doing, yes. But it's very, very hard to find that.
So is that kind of where you see it going? Is if you can find qualified people or get them to a certain point? I mean, you're growing your business and or are you kind of at the point where you're just happy where you're at?
I'm at the point where I'm happy where I'm at. I mean, I make a ton of money. I mean, I have all the workers' comp, I have all the insurances, and I work. Well, this pandemic has slowed us down a little bit, probably
sure.
about 40%.
Oh, wow.
So I'm only doing about 60% of what I would normally do. Last year was my best year in business ever. I just turned just over $500,000 in gross sales.
Okay.
That's just for one truck.
Yeah, for one, yeah.
So it's there, but getting qualified people that know what they're doing is probably the biggest objective there is.
Yeah. But you could bring on more work, you think, if you had the people?
Oh, I'd find the work, yeah.
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 So with the pandemic, we kind of double back on that. You hear depending on the trade, it seems like, and depending on the industry that they're serving, some say they're doing really well. I spoke with a guy who was a restaurant HVAC guy in San Francisco, and he wasn't doing so hot, obviously, especially when this whole
people are holding off on things, on projects, remodels until this is over.
Yeah, because they're concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people are generally concerned. They want you to wear a mask and gloves and everything when you go into the house, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. In some instances, it's more dangerous because your glasses fog up and your hands are sweaty, and it's like, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. What about on the industrial, commercial side?
So that's even worse. You got to wear long sleeves, glasses, hard hats, boots, mask, headsets, headphones. You're all geared up, and it's hard to do the work sometimes. And they're so strict sometimes. You go into a confined space, and you've got to have somebody on the end of a rope to pull you out, and you've got to have all these certificates saying that you've been trained properly to do this kind of work. But it all pays well.
Yeah.
It all pays well.
Where are you seeing the slowdown more? Is it on the residential side or on the commercial?
Both.
Both?
Both equally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any kind of light at the end of the tunnel coming up, or is everybody still kind of?
It's like a chain of reaction. You stop one job, and that affects 3 other jobs, and those 3 jobs affect 5 other jobs, and it's just like a branch.
Yeah.
So you shut down one business, and it affects a lot of businesses.
Oh, yeah.
So when
Domino
construction's still going on, which is good, which is what the country pretty much runs on is construction.
Mm-hmm.
But other jobs, let's say you're supplying the material for the jet fighter wings for Boeing, who's making jet fighters, but they're shut down because of problems. So they're not producing that material. So they're not hiring the people to fix that roller that puts out the plastic or whatever it is. So it's a chain reaction. But I think once the vaccine comes out, I hear there's 3 of them on the table right now. It should come back to normal.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the government is making some large donations.
Yes. There is. They're going through clinical trials right now.
Yeah.
But as far as the money-wise, this is my personal opinion. Money in this country is going to go digital. We're going to have.
For sure.
We're going to have
coin shortages right now.
Everything is going to go digital. I mean, and I was looking at the cryptocurrencies and the blockchains that run them. And there's so many of them. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
I thought Bitcoin was the only one. No, there's
there's
lot
hundreds of them, yeah.
Yeah. And so which one's going to make it? I don't know. So the other night I went online and bought a couple of Bitcoins. They seem to be the biggest. So.
Yeah, no, one of them's got to take over at some point.
Well, the government's going to have their own digital currency,
Yeah.
but there's going to have to be a black market or a sideline currency because the government can't have control over your lives like that.
Yeah.
They can't. If they wanted to, they could shut you down without cash. What do you got?
Yeah.
You got nothing.
Yeah.
You got no idea. They turn you off. So you've got to have a backup. You've got to have something else there in place.
Yeah.
And so I think Bitcoin or something similar to that will be in place as well.
Right. Yeah,
Crazy.
that makes sense.
Yeah. You can't. The government can't control you in that way. That would be crazy.
Any trips back to New Zealand planned?
No, I stopped going back there about 2 years ago.
Yeah, for good?
Like for good?
Yeah.
Oh, detail.
Unless
Well,
I need to go fishing for some reason, I'll go back there.
Okay.
But I just have a sister and a couple of nephews and
Yeah.
a couple of friends. That's about it.
There's not much there yet left. Yeah, they're all here. It sounds like.
I've lived most of my life here now.
Yeah.
So this is home.
Yeah.
There's more to do here.
Yeah.
Way more. People here don't realize how well off they have it.
That's 100% true.
Not a clue. Not a clue. They complain they haven't got their EDD money yet. Give me a break. Of course, I don't qualify for any of that.
Yeah, no.
So I don't get a penny.
Well, very cool. Well, you've mentioned some kind of funny stories. Any other stories that kind of part of the genesis of the show? I mean, called "It Happened on the Job" was kind of. Stories that you could tell over a drink or two at a bar, right? Like,
I'll tell you a couple of stories.
yeah, all right, here we go.
This is a while ago. This is a few years back now. This homeowner lady calls me and says, her toilet's backing up. Could I come out and take a look at it and fix it? She'll be at work and she'll be home at 4 o'clock. But her daughter's home, a 16-year-old daughter is at home, and she's got a check and it's signed and she can pay you. So I go in there and I pull out my toilet auger and I snake the toilet and I pull back a condom. The toilet's cleared. So I go out to my truck. I'm writing out the invoice and everything. So I bring it in, and the daughter's writing out the check. Well, the mother shows up at the same time, and says,
Whose bathroom was this, by the way?
It was the downstairs bathroom. It was a
Okay.
general bathroom. And she said, well, what was the problem? I said, well, you probably shouldn't flush the condoms down the toilet because they get jammed up. She goes, I don't use condoms. I'll get that invoice down real quick. I'm out of here. I wanted to be a fly on the wall after that, after I left.
Can you imagine, man?
That would have been a fun conversation to be a part of, yeah.
There's this one lady in Newport Beach. She called me. She goes, I got a leak under my sink. So I go out there, and she's got two new sinks. The bathroom's pretty brand new. I'm looking for this leak. I can't find this leak. I'm running water down the drains. I'm running water. And I go, well, I don't really see anything here. She goes, well, yeah, I was there. I wiped it up this morning. So I flooded the area. I put water, splashed water. I couldn't find a leak. I go, I can't find a leak. And she goes, well, can you just change the flex lines and the angle stops? I go, okay, if you want me to, but there's nothing wrong with them. So I change those and give her a bill. I'm driving home and I get this page from her. Back in the day, we had pages.
Yeah, I remember this.
And so I get off the freeway, find a phone, call her, and she goes, it's leaking. Okay, I'll be right back. Turn around, head back to Newport Beach. Get there, not a drop anywhere. I'll go, where is the leak? Well, I wiped it up. Okay, don't do that again. Don't do that. Call me back. So I left. I get home, and next morning she goes, it's leaking again. Okay. So I drive back out there again, not a drop of water anywhere. I go, where's the leak? Well, it was leaking over there. I go, there's no water there. Well, it was leaking there. I go, I don't know what to tell you. There's no leak. And so she put a stop payment on the check. So I filed a small claims suit and went in front of the judge. And she shows up with this bag with Home Depot stuff in it, a Home Depot bag with all these P-traps and angle stops and flex lines. I mean, a massive amount of home fix-it products, right? And I tell the judge my story, and she gets up and tells the judge that I did this work without a permit, and I could have done it wrong, and the methane gas could have killed her. The courtroom busts out laughing. The judge has to pick up his folder like this, and he's laughing too. She didn't get it. Anyway, I got the judgment, and she had to pay me, so that was fine.
Just the crazy lady.
What a leak.
That's a lot of effort to go through, though. Like,
I know,
a
right?
lot of
She must
effort.
have been really bored.
I
Yeah.
don't know if she was seeing a leak in her head or what, but there was no leak.
Wow.
Man, oh man.
Fun times.
Well, Gary, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. It's always fun.
Yeah, I love these stories. So, if you could let the people know where to find you,
If
I
you
have
want-
to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to work, right?
exactly. Maybe let Boeing know where to find you.
You know, I don't even have a website. It's just look for Elite Plumbing. Google Elite Plumbing in Fullerton, and you'll find me.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for
Awesome.
coming
Well, thanks
on
for the
today.
time, man. We
Oh, thank you,
appreciate
Mike.
it.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Keep in
Gary.
touch. Stay
Yeah,
safe
sure.
out there.
All right.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've made it this far, go ahead and give us a like or 5 stars or whatever means you like us.
Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. And check out our website for more video content and extras.
While you're there, shoot us a message if you want to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.